Cash poker may be the purest form of poker, but it's also going to be a good way for beginning players to build on their bankroll with solid, guided play, especially since Poker Time have a wonderful $50 free offer. Watch this video and follow the advice my poker left gives, and you can build your bankroll higher and higher.
Now here we go with the first hand of our session. It has to be noted that I've done something for this session I don't normally do, and that's post out of position. I tend to wait for the big blind, and I think it's the most sensible course of action. But today I just fancied a change, so let's see. Okay, it's a limp fest. Family pot to the flop, which doesn't neck with us in the slightest. I have to say though that player 2 seems like a very weak bet to me. A very weak bet. So I'm going to peel one card off if an ace, or if a high card appears, and I can bet or re-raise. I think he'll probably check on a turn after a call, so we shall see. Button, I think it's just a position call. As we expected, he actually checks. So I'm going to bet out Virtue of the Pot. Again, I could be representing a lot of things here, but it's weakness. He showed weakness on the flop with a weak bet. He showed weakness by actually just flatting. If he had any of the flop, I think he would have raised. So I'm going to stab out of here. And we take down the pot. First hand, not bad. Okay, on the second hand we have a completely raggy king 4. Yes, it's suited, but I don't think there's any value in playing it at all. Next hand is rather, well, some people like to play these connectors. To be honest, again, no value in this hand, so simply a straight fold. And here we go with a big blind special. Everybody's going to limp, well, but a couple of people. See a flop, hit or miss. I think with the amount of people tapped behind us, and we're out of position. If a bet are going to get called, you get no information. He'd have to hit a jack, and even then with the kicker you wouldn't feel particularly happy. We'll check it down, but if there's any bets we're going to fold. I think everybody in cash games likes suited connectors. I'm just a bigger fan as anybody else. They tend to play well in cash games. Obviously in tournaments it's a bit of a different situation. With cash games I'm always pretty much playing suited connectors. But I always tend to play them for a raise, particularly in position. However, not being in position this time, I decided to make a lead out bet at this flop. Not only because I've got top pair, but because it's free to a flush. Now, to be honest, player 1's only going to call me with any kind of draw, particularly a high card of spades. So I'm pretty much, after raising pre, going to continuation bet definitely on this kind of flop. And I think most of the time he's going to fold. King Jack. Everybody's probably thinking 6 max, definitely flat. True, but a lot of people get into trouble with King Jack. Now, after a raise, I might actually call, but after a call of a raise, I don't know. I think with King Jack you want to be hitting 2 pair, and if you just hit the Jack or a King, you're not sure where you actually stand a lot of times, especially if you're going to get everybody calling. So for me, tight as it may be, it's a fold. Okay, some hand with possibilities. A suited king in the big blind. Now, For a min raise, my personal opinion is I'm definitely at least calling from big blind. Again, it's pretty much hit or miss poker, but especially when you get a caller behind, I think everybody's going to call in this situation, which surprises me for the min. Mind you, they're short stack, so. But these guys, gotta see a flop. Again, it's a 2-pair kind of hand, flush draw. If we don't hit, we can check fold. Did we give that away? Possibly. Could we bet the turn? I don't know. Someone had probably connected with the flop, even if it's just a 9. And it may have called. Could be weak play on my part. I admit that, but in my mind it was the right play. Lovely suited ace in the small blind. I'd like to see a cheap flop. But after a min raise and a re-raise, no. Especially out of position. This hand is going to be purely positional play. Raise in position. The hand is inconsequential. You got a sign of weakness, just people just limping in. And interestingly, standard raise pre-flop has been, for me, 3 times a big blind, but I always add in 1 extra big blind to the raise for any limpers. So in this case is 1 limper, and I make it 40, or 4 times a big blind. When I'm called, especially from early position, I've got to be very careful on any flop. And that's the kind of flop that's probably going to hit player 1. The weak bet, I just have a feeling I'm being lured into a false sense of security there. It could be some kind of weird bluff. A bluff to a flush draw. But I made a positional play. And I can get away from it. Okay. Yes, I'm trying to just remember this hand. Limp see a flop. Yes, again, it's the weak bet. 10 into 45. So even though we're not connected, we do have a gutter. We have a couple of gut shots there. So we're going to raise. Again, a fairly standard solid play. The call is interesting. It's the weak bet. And then a call. There's a couple of options that player 4's got. He's either got a 10, a queen, or he's actually drawing himself. Let's see what happens. Check. Check where king comes. I think he's probably got a 10. He knew he had to bet, he had to find out, but he didn't want to commit any more chips than really a minimum bet. And so for his mind, as soon as he's got some information that now has been raised and now king, he checks, there's another bet. He'd probably say, good fold there, good fold. Okay, fairly standard raise. We've lost a player. Ace 10, 6-handed, raising. What bothers me though is player 3, who's not really been particularly aggressive. And now he's shoved all his stack in. I don't care what somebody says. I think Ace 10 is barely flipping, if not dominated. I mean, this guy's range is going to be Ace Jack suited, Ace Queen off plus. So it's dead easy fold. Okay, an ace in a big blind. Again, it's the min raise situation. to be honest, I think with most cards, me personally, I'm definitely going to see a flop to a min raise. I think for the standard solid kind of play, you're going to limit yourself to ace kind of hands, Broadway cards. So we have ace high flop, which is fairly good to us. However, we want to know if an ace is in his range, and if so, what kind of ace, because I mean, let's face it, I've got a really naff kicker. So we check also for a bit of pot control, and it's the weak bet. Again, a weak bet in 10-4, so I'm going to call, peel one off, no flush hits, then definitely go for it. Okay, this is a standard positional play. Suited king, min raise, I'm calling. See a flop. Okay, so we hit amazingly top pair, pretty much decent kicker. Now this is the first time this chap's actually bet a decent amount. Remember from earlier, it's been literally min bets. So I'm going to exercise some pot control here. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to flat call. Of course, ace, I don't like. Do I fear he has an ace? If he has an ace, it's a really raggy ace. He's content to check it, so am I. And we see that his actual bets, his continuation bets on the flop, when he actually got some substance to it, actually means he actually caught some of the flop. Okay, big blind special time. The ace, any kind of ace. We're definitely going to see a flop. We've only got one caller. I imagine the small blind's going to complete. No, so now we're heads up. You can't ask for a more bingo flop. Some people are tempted to solo play this. I think at these levels, you've definitely going to bet out. You're going to get people calling you with draws. You're going to get people calling you with any kind of ace. So we might as well extract maximum value now. Interesting raise. We've got to say he's probably on an ace. Big ace. That's brilliant, because now he's going to actually give us some action. He's going to pay us off. And we love him for it. Was that a big raise? Not at all. I think it's definitely extracting maximum value. And a min raise on the turn as well. The only thing we're really worried about here is if he has a raggy ace, which is ace 8 or ace 5. I don't think that is particularly his kind of style, particularly to go to war. So I'm assuming a big ace or possibly a draw, which, as we find out, is exactly what he had. So there you go, there's our last hand in the art of doubling up by playing solid. Admittedly, the last hand was a bit lucky, but it's quite possible to actually make a little bit of money and grow your bankroll this way.
So there we go. An easy way to make money? Yes and no. You can have good sessions, you can have bad sessions. But as long as you follow the guidance with my Poker Lab and play a solid style, you will see your bankroll grow. Good luck and enjoy the ride.